Welcome back. This is the At the Kitchen Table podcast. I am Jason Klink, your host, and I'm glad you're here. This is episode 8, and today I want to talk about something that's been sitting with me lately. Something I heard just the other day. It's one of those things that sounds pretty simple at first, but the longer you sit with it, the more it starts to hit you. Some days feel like years, but somehow most years go by like days. And I don't know about you, but the older that I get, the more true that feels. There are days when you look at the clock and you think, how is it only 10:30 in the morning? You've already answered messages, dealt with problems, made decisions, maybe sat in traffic. And by lunchtime, it feels like you've lived 3 full days already, probably consecutively. But then you zoom out. You look back and realize another year is almost gone. Your kids are older, your parents are older, you're older. That thing you said you were going to start next month, it's still sitting there waiting. That project, that business idea, that trip, that conversation, that change you wanted to make. Somehow it all got pushed forward again. And you start asking yourself, where did the time go? That's what I want to talk about today. Not in a depressing way, not in a motivational speaker, rah-rah poster kind of way either. Just honestly. Because I think a lot of us are living in that tension. We feel every hour when life is heavy, but we lose entire years when life gets busy. So let's sit with that for a little while. There are certain days that stretch you. You know the kind of day I'm talking about? The day starts with one problem, and before you know it, you can solve that one, but 3 more show up. Your phone won't stop. Your calendar is packed. Someone needs you for something. Something breaks. Someone misunderstands you. An unexpected bill shows up. A deadline gets moved. And then a plan falls apart. And you're trying to hold it all together while you're still looking like you have some kind of control of it all. Those days can feel endless. And sometimes it's not even because something major had happened. Sometimes it's just the accumulation. It's the mental load. It's the responsibility. It's the constant switching from one version of yourself to another. One minute you're the professional. Then you're the parent. Then you're the spouse. Then you're the leader. Then you're the friend. Then you're the one trying to figure out your own life quietly in the background. And nobody really sees the transition. Nobody says, hey, I know you just started carrying 100 different things today. They just see the part of you that they need. That's why some days feels like years. Because emotionally, mentally, and physically, you've lived through more than one day's worth of weight. And here's the thing I've been thinking about. When you're in those days, we tend to believe they're permanent. When you're tired, it feels like you'll always be tired. When you're stressed, you feel like you'll always be stressed. And when you're stuck, you just feel stuck. But it usually isn't. It's a day. It might be a hard day. It might be a brutal day. It might be a day that tests your patience, your confidence, your faith, your discipline, and your ability not to lose your mind. It's still a day. And I think sometimes we need to remind ourselves of that. Not to minimize it, not to pretend it doesn't matter, but to keep it in perspective. Because if we let one hard day convince us that our whole life is broken, we start making decisions from exhaustion instead of wisdom. And I've done that. Maybe you have too. You have one hard day and suddenly you're questioning your entire path. You're questioning your job, your business, your relationships, your goals, and even your ability. You start telling yourself, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But maybe you're just tired. Maybe you don't need to quit. Maybe you just need to rest. Maybe you don't need to change your whole life tonight. Maybe you need to get through today, eat something different, drink some water, sleep, and revisit the problem when your nervous system isn't on fire. That sounds simple, but a whole lot of life comes down to not letting the worst day make decisions for your future self. So now let's flip it. Because while some days feel like the last one will last forever, somehow the years don't. The years move very fast, almost too fast. You blink and another birthday is here. You blink and your kids are in a whole different stage of life. You blink and the people who used to seem young are now talking about retirement. You blink and the old photos on your phone feel like they were taken just yesterday, but they were from 6 or 7 years ago. And that can mess with you mentally because we tend to think that we have more time than we really do. We say things like, I'll eventually get to that. I'll start when things slow down. I'll take that trip next year. I'll call them this weekend. I'll focus on my health after this busy season. I'll make the change when the timing is better. But then another year passes, and the timing still isn't better, and life didn't slow down any. The perfect opening never really showed up, and that thing we kept pushing off is still sitting there, only now we're a year older. I think that's one of the quiet traps of adulthood. Nobody tells you that someday can become a habit. Not because you're lazy, not because you don't care, because life is full. Life is loud, and life can be demanding. And if you're not careful, the urgent things will eat the important things. That's worth repeating. The urgent things will eat the important things. The email feels urgent. The text feels urgent. The meeting feels urgent. The errand feels urgent. The problem of the day feels urgent. But your health, your relationships, your peace of mind, your purpose, your growth, those things are important, but they rarely scream. They wait quietly, right in the background. And because they wait quietly, we assume they can keep waiting until one day they can't. That's when we get the wake-up calls. That doctor visit, the relationship tension, the burnout, the crash out, the regret, that missed opportunity, and even a funeral. The moment when we realized time was passing us by while we were busy managing everything except the life we actually wanted to live. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because it's real. We have to pay attention while we still have the chance to adjust. I think time changes as we get older because our relationship with it changes. When you're young, time feels endless because you don't have much behind you yet. A summer feels like a lifetime. A school year feels huge. Waiting for your birthday feels almost impossible. Waiting to turn 16, 18, 21 feels like it takes forever, and we're all in a big hurry to get there. You start measuring life differently when you get older. You measure it in mortgage payments, in school years, in holidays, in work quarters, in those dreaded tax seasons, by anniversaries, in your doctor's appointments, in I can't believe that was 10 years ago. You almost start repeating more patterns. Same commute, same schedule, same routines, same obligations, same hamster wheel. And when life becomes repetitive, these years just start blurring together. That's part of why new experiences feel slower. When you do something new, your brain pays attention. A new place, a new challenge, a new conversation, a new chapter, a brand new podcast. Those moments create markers. They give your memory something to hold on to. But when every week looks the same, your brain just compresses it. Monday becomes Friday, January becomes June, summer becomes fall. And suddenly you're standing there saying, how is it already the end of the year? That's a scary thought, but it's also useful. Because it means part of slowing life down, it's not about controlling time. It's about creating more moments worth remembering. That doesn't mean you need to quit your job or move across the country or reinvent your whole life. Sometimes it's smaller than that. A dinner without phones, a walk with someone you love, a day trip, a real conversation, maybe a new book or a new routine, a project you actually care about. A morning where you don't immediately grab your phone and hand your mind over to something else in the world or into the entire world. We don't always need bigger lives. Sometimes we need more present ones. And that's hard. Because being present sounds peaceful, but it takes discipline. It takes discipline to not consistently live in the next thing, the next meeting, the next payment, the next goal, the next problem, or the next version of yourself. I'm highly guilty of all of that. I can be sitting in one moment and mentally are ready for the next 5. I can be at the table and not really be at the table. I can be home and still be carrying work. I can be with people and still be thinking about the message I need to send, the deal I need to close, the task I forgot, the thing I should have done better. And maybe some of you are the same exact way. You're physically present, but mentally checked out. Not because you don't care, but because your mind has been trained to keep moving. And that's where we lose time. We don't just lose time because of the clock moves. We lose time because we aren't fully inside the moments we're already living. I also think this topic hits differently for people who carry a lot of responsibility. Parents, first responders, business owners, leaders, caregivers. People who are trying to hold their family together. People who are trying to build something. People who are trying to recover from something. People who are trying to keep moving even when they're tired. When you carry responsibility, your days feel or can feel very long because you're constantly managing outcomes. You're not just living your own life, you're thinking about how your decisions affect people. That's pretty heavy. It's easy to disappear into that role. You become the dependable one, the strong one, the one people call, the one who figures it out, the one who keeps showing up. And there's honor in that, there really is. But there's also danger. Because if you're always carrying everything, you can start to confuse being needed with being alive. You can start to measure your own value only by what you produce, fix, provide, or endure. And then the years go by, you did the work, you paid the bills, you handled those emergencies, you showed up for everybody, but somewhere along the way you stopped asking yourself what kind of life you were actually building. That's a hard question. What kind of life am I actually building? Not just what am I surviving, not just what am I responsible for, not just what do people expect from me, but what kind of life am I building with the time that I have left? Because that's the part we don't always want to say out loud. We have time, but we don't have unlimited time. And I know that sounds obvious, but we don't live like it's obvious. We live like there's always another chance, another season, another conversation to be had, another opportunity, another year, and maybe there won't be. Maybe there will be. That doesn't mean we need to live scared. I don't believe in living scared, but I do believe in living awake. There's a difference. Living scared means you're anxious. Living awake means you're intentional. Living scared makes you cling to everything. Living awake helps you appreciate what's right in front of you. Living scared says timing's running out. Living awake says time matters, so use it well. That's where I think this conversation becomes useful. Because this isn't just about nostalgia. It's about attention. It's about asking, where is my time actually going? Who is getting the best of me? What am I postponing that matters? What am I tolerating that is draining years off my life? What am I chasing that I don't even care about anymore? And what am I avoiding because I'm afraid of what it might require from me? Those are kitchen table questions. Those are questions that don't always come up in the highlight reel, but they come up when it's quiet, when the coffee is sitting there, when the house is still, when you're driving alone, when you're staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night. Those are the questions that tell the truth. One of the things I've noticed is that regret usually doesn't come from one big dramatic mistake. Sometimes it does, but often it's quieter than that. Regret comes from small moments we keep missing. The phone call we didn't make, the dinner we rushed through, the kid who wanted our attention while we were too distracted, the friend we meant to check on, the spouse we stopped being curious about, the parent or grandparent whose stories we heard 100 times but we never thought to record, the opportunity we talked ourselves out of, the version of ourselves we kept delaying. That's the stuff that gets you later. Because at that time, it doesn't feel urgent. At that time, it feels normal. You think, I'll get to it. But eventually, normal changes. The kids grow up. People move away. The table looks different. The house gets quieter. The work changes. The body changes. The opportunities change. And suddenly you realize those little moments weren't little. They were the whole thing. That's the part I keep coming back to. The little moments are the whole thing. We keep waiting for life to become meaningful in some big, obvious way, but most of the meaning is buried in ordinary days. A conversation in the kitchen, a drive home, laughing at something completely stupid, sitting outside for 5 minutes, just making dinner, showing up when someone needed you, being there for the routine stuff. Not every meaningful moment announces itself. Sometimes you only recognize it later, and maybe that's why we have to pay attention better now. Because today might feel ordinary, it might feel annoying, it might feel repetitive, but a few years from now, you might look back and miss something about this exact season. That's a strange thought. The season you're trying to get through right now might become the season you wish you could revisit. Not because it was perfect, but because there was something in it you didn't realize you loved. That's worth thinking about. What part of your current life might you miss someday? Maybe it's the noise in the house. Maybe it's the busy schedule. Maybe it's the job you complain about but still gives your life structure. Maybe it's the people you see every day. Maybe it's the grind of building something. Maybe it's the version of your family that exists right now, in this exact chapter, before life changes again. That doesn't mean every season is good. Some seasons are extremely hard. Some seasons you won't miss. Some seasons are about survival, healing, rebuilding, or getting back on your feet. But even in those seasons, there may be something forming in you. Some patience, more grit, some clarity, more perspective. A deeper understanding of what matters and what doesn't. And sometimes these days that feel like years are the ones that shape us the most. We don't always like that, but it's true. So what do we do with this? If the days can feel long, but the years move fast, how do we live better inside the reality? I don't think the answer is complete panic. I don't think the answer is to quit everything and chase some fantasy version of your life. I think the answer is to get honest and intentional. Start with the day, not the whole year, not the next decade, just the day. Because the day is where life actually happens. You don't live a year all at once. You live in the mornings, the afternoons, evenings, and at night. You live it in choices. You live it in conversations. You live it what you give your attention to. Some maybe the question is not, how do I change my whole life? Maybe the question is, how do I live today in a way that my future me will respect? That's a powerful question. How do I live today in a way that future me will respect? Maybe future you doesn't need you to solve everything today. Maybe future you just needs you to stop avoiding the thing you already know needs attention. Maybe future you need to just take a walk, send the message, make that appointment, have that conversation, set a boundary, start that plan, put your phone down, say yes, say no, apologize, forgive, and try again. Rest without guilt. There are a lot of ways to respect your future self, and they usually don't look dramatic. They look like small choices repeated with intention. That's the part that matters. Small choices repeated with intention. Because years don't disappear all at once. They disappear one distraction a day at a time. But the opposite is also true. A meaningful life isn't built all at once. It's built one intentional day at a time. That should give us some hope, because you don't have to fix the whole story today. You just have to stop sleepwalking through the next page. So I want to stop here and ask you a few questions. And I don't want you to answer them for me. Answer them for yourself. Maybe while you're driving, maybe after this episode ends, maybe later tonight when things get quiet at home. So the first question, where in your life do the days feel the heaviest right now? Is it at work? Is it with your family? Money? Your health? Some of your relationships maybe? A responsibility you just don't talk much about. You name it. Sometimes naming the weight is the first step toward being controlled by it. Second question, where are the years going too fast? What part of life do you feel like you're missing while you're busy trying to keep up? That one might be uncomfortable, but it matters. Question number 3. What have you been saying you'll do when things slow down? Because here's the truth. Things might not slow down on their own. You may have to choose differently before life feels different. And the last question, who or what deserves more of your presence? Not more of your productivity, not more of your stress, not more of your leftovers, your presence. It might be your spouse, your kids, your friends, your parents, your health, your faith, your business, your own peace of mind. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you deserve more of your own attention. That's not selfish. That's stewardship. You can't keep giving the best of yourself away to everything urgent and expect to have anything meaningful left for what matters the most. Here's the kitchen table takeaway for this episode. Life is very, very strange. Some days you'll feel like they take everything out of you. Some years will pass before you even realize they were happening. You can't stop time from moving. You can't stop living like you have no say in how you spend it. You can pay attention. You can be more honest. You can slow down in small ways. You can stop giving your best energy to things that don't deserve it. You can stop postponing the conversations, the changes, and the choices that matter. You can remember that a hard day is not the same thing as a bad life. That's important. A hard day is not the same thing as a bad life. Sometimes it's just a hard day. And when the years feel like they're moving too fast, maybe that's not just something to be sad about. Maybe it's a signal, a reminder, a tap on your shoulder saying, pay attention. Be here. Don't wait forever. Say that thing. Do the thing. Notice people. Take the picture. Make the memory. Build the life, not someday. Starting now. Because one day we're going to look back on this season too. And the question won't just be, where did the time go? The better question will be, was I really there for it? That's the question I'm sitting with today. Was I really there for it? And maybe that's the conversation this episode is meant to start. Not just with me, but with all of us. With the people at your own kitchen table, with the people you love, with the people you work beside. Because we're all dealing with the same time. We're all trying to manage long days and short years. And maybe the best we can do is just stop pretending we have forever, while also not letting today's stress steal the life right in front of us. That's the balance. So keep going. But don't disappear while you're going. Carry the responsibility, but don't forget to live. Handle the day, but don't lose the year. If this one hit home, I'd love for you to sit with it for just a little bit. Ask yourself the questions. Share them with someone. Bring it up at your own kitchen table. Because these are the conversations that matter. Not because they have to be perfect answers, but because they help us pay attention. And maybe that's where a better life starts. Not with some massive change, but with paying attention to the life we're already in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. And until next time, keep showing up. Keep having real conversations. And don't let the long days make you miss how fast the years are moving. As always, share this podcast with anyone you know, anyone that might get value. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a great day.